16-year-old Atte Ahokas spent many Fridays traveling 2 hours each way to protest at the Finnish parliament, holding signs pleading for climate action. The climate itself wasn't too cooperative as he stood there through the winter.
It's really horrible in front of this parliament. It's always windy and it will be raining some sleet or snow or ice. Most of the politicians, they just go by and don't even look at us. Some wave or say hello, and some even come to talk to us.
But Ahokas says it was all worth it, as Prime Minister Antti Rinne has declared solving the climate crisis should be Europe's next heroic act. At the very least, it's the top priority for the Finnish EU presidency. Rinne has credited the youth climate strikers for inspiration. Ahokas got to thank him in person, and vice versa.
I really felt like that you have listened to us, the young people.
I have listened and I need to listen more.
Yeah,
that's
thank
true.
you.
For backup, Rinne appointed Green politician Pekka Haavisto as foreign minister to press the message in the foreign policy arena, already overflowing with wars, nuclear threats, and humanitarian disasters. Haavisto knows it will be difficult.
When I'm saying this five-party government has one goal, and it's the climate, and it's the environment, and it's the ecology, then the silence around the table, you can hear the silence in a way that it's so surprising.
But Haavisto says it's the activists to whom he feels responsible.
They are pushing us, and they actually think that our goals are not ambitious enough, but I think it's good. We need this civil society to push the politicians.
Helsinki is determined not to be a hypocrite. It's maximizing sustainability, minimizing everything else. Meetings will all be held in the capital. There will be no bottled water, mostly plant-based meals. And EU bureaucrats traveling to Finnish meetings will receive a unique gift. €500,000 worth of air emission offsets spent on projects in developing countries. Anja Laisi, head of the presidency secretariat, says the Finnish way is not to lecture, but to lead by example.
We want to be practical, and what we promise, we want to keep.
Atte Ahokas says whatever Finland achieves is great, but that so much more is needed. He'll be protesting outside the EU meetings, rain or shine, or sleet or snow.
Okay, we're happy to be joined now by Tadzio Müller. He's a longtime climate expert, activist, and analyst for the Rosa Luxemburg Foundation, think tank close to the German Left Party. Thanks for coming in, Tadzio.
Thank you for having me.
What are you expecting from the Finnish presidency of the EU?
Well, first of all, I'm expecting what has been the par for the course for European climate policy for the last several decades, which is to talk a good talk, but fundamentally not deliver anything. The really existing record of European climate policy is lousy. Our central climate change policy, emissions trading, has not delivered any actual emissions reductions while creating a new playground for financial criminals. And that is the main climate policy in the
financial
EU.
criminals, but climate CO2 carbon trading is going on.
Yeah, but it is not delivering any emissions reductions. That's the central point. If you look at the history of EU climate policy, it hasn't done anything to actually reduce emissions. And we're seeing a situation where in late spring, in northern Germany, there were forest fires.
Mecklenburg-Vorpommern.
In Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, already now we're living in a climate-changed world. So if I hear somebody saying we're going to be climate neutral by 2050, that's about as relevant as telling me there's a man going to be on Mars by 2030 as well.
Okay, well, you're saying the carbon trading is not working. France is proposing a flight on every plane that takes off in France. Germany's looking at taxing carbon consumption and energy more seriously. Is that the way forward? Taxing? Is taxes the way forward for consumers?
I do believe that a carbon tax would be a better and more efficient way to protect the climate than emissions trading. However, you need to look at fundamentals. The only thing in the last 40 years that has measurably reduced global greenhouse gas emissions is reductions in economic growth. When the Eastern Bloc collapsed in the early 90s, that led to global emissions reductions.
Are you saying we need less economic growth?
Absolutely. In fact, economic growth, the fact that we have an economic system that perpetuates infinite growth on a finite planet is precisely the reason why we have not only the climate crisis, but also a biodiversity crisis and others. And the European Union is fundamentally an economic growth project. As a result, I know that the European Union will not deliver climate protection.
Okay, well, climate activists have been targeting flying, something we mentioned as a major environmental threat. And the Swedish 16-year-old Greta Thunberg of course, has been spearheading Europe's anti-flying movement that encourages people to stop flying by air to lower carbon emissions. But how much difference does it actually make to travel long distances by trains, for example? Here's how it compares on a 600-kilometer journey from Berlin to Munich. A train emits 34 kilograms of CO2 per person. With a typical car, it moves up to 90 kilograms, but flying pumps out a massive 300 kilograms of CO2 per head. That's left many people thinking twice about how they travel on their vacations. So what should be happening here? The climate change activists, Tadzio, Extinction Rebellion, recently announced plans to disrupt flights to and from London Heathrow Airport this holiday season by using drones. Is that the right way forward on climate change?
Well, first of all, the right way forward would be to change the incentives around this. It would be to have political decisions whereby we tax airplane fuel or reduce value-added tax on train tickets, or do not cut back on regional train lines, as has been happening around Berlin, for example, for many, many years. The point is that individual decisions about where and how to travel take place in a particular framework. If the framework is airplane travel is dirt cheap, then I'll probably do airplane travel because also it's faster and my holiday hours and days are getting cut back all the time.
Okay, so raising the price.
So what I'm saying is that I'm not just talking, raising the price would be one option. The point is we need to make collective societal decisions about how we want to behave in this world. Now, I do think that people asking themselves, should I fly or should I not fly, is a useful exercise. It's a useful exercise not in shaming oneself. As a homosexual myself, I don't think that shaming people into changing their behavior is going to be a very good, effective way. However, we are sovereign, ethical actors. We can decide not to do something. I'll give you one example. If your favorite luxury hotel in your holiday destination were having its towels cleaned by sexually exploited minors, I wouldn't want you to feel shame about going to that hotel. I would want you to decide not to go to that hotel.
Okay, so it should be politics and not shaming.
Precisely.
That is the way forward. Tadzio Müller, climate expert, activist, and expert at the Rosa Luxemburg Foundation. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.